Strap yourself in
because we're set up, switched on, and ready to go.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
It's about to go down.
Bobbing like a motherfucker stuck. Can you picture middle finger out the window getting fucked off? Liquor, get loaded, can't control it. Nigga, pass me the blood, let me roll it.
Hey. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Scott Free Podcast. I'm your gracious host, Scott LaRock, aka Scott Free himself. And I want to thank you all for joining me again on this brand new episode. Today is Friday, March the 12th. Again, like I said, I don't like to date them, but early on in this podcast, until we get enough under our belt, I probably will date each one of the shows. Like I said again, it's Friday the 12th. Friday the 12th in the AM. It's an early morning for me. I'm out here on the East Coast this week. I'll probably be here another week or so. Got a lot of business to take care of down here in Atlanta. If you know anything about me, you know I am actually based out of California originally, but we'll be bouncing back and forth because we have things to do here in town. On today's podcast, I'll be honest with you, I didn't have a lot of time to prep for the show because I have been out of town. But I did say I would start doing these things. I said I would start doing these no matter what, even if I had a topic that I wanted to cover, because I did wanted to give you guys an opportunity to get to know me. And we can do that really honestly just through conversation alone. I need to start doing these things live, but to be honest, I am not equipped, I don't think, here out on the East Coast per se to give you the highest quality of live streaming as possible. So a lot of times I may have to post it later, but we'll see what we get to. On today's episode, we're gonna probably cover, I'm in the mood today, so I think we're gonna probably cover a couple of different topics. If you know anything about me, I pretty much study 90% of the day. So I'm always all over the place. So in the middle of this conversation that we're going to have, and I won't try to make this one too long. I try to make it short as possible to keep you guys' attention. But if you know anything about me, it's hard to keep me focused because I do study so many different things. One of the things I've been studying lately, and I guess we could just jump right into it, is why are we having such a divide between Africans from the continent and Africans from America? As you can see, I consider myself a foundational Black American, meaning my family have been on this land since before slavery. So for anyone who understands what foundational Black American is, that's what the FBA stands for. We pride ourselves on no longer holding that our parents and grandparents and ancestors come from slavery as a badge of shame, or if I heard one lady say one time, as a scab. No longer that, baby. We're going to start embracing our foundational Black Americanness. So from that being said, everybody knows, well, the reason why I say that is this, and I always use sports analogies when it comes to this. Because somebody asked me one day is, you know, your family, and I hear people say this all the time, and I do hear people from the continent say this all the time. We have no culture, foundational Black Americans. We don't have anything. We just was somebody else's slave. But let's just be honest. Just like anything else, yes, all those things happen to us. But we have to start looking at what we also accomplished inside of those things. And we can get into that. I may get into that. I'm not sure. But one thing I will tell you is that for us foundational Black Americans, we have to stop wearing this thing as a badge of shame and put some honor on our name. The reason why we become the bottom feeders of the entire world, and I'll be honest with you, I honestly feel like people come for foundational Black Americans harder than they do anyone else. But that should tell you something. I always tell people this all the time. I tell my daughters this all the time. Because, you know, when you're a parent, you know, you have to teach your children things, how to navigate the world. And I noticed, like, my youngest was having a self-esteem problem. And what it was because she goes to private school. And in that private school, she does very, very well. She is a straight A student. She's in all honors classes. She's going to graduate high school early. She's actually going to graduate college early. She's on track for all these things. So in the process of this, people have had times in the past where they actually wanted to come for her and her self-esteem. And what I think that is because, and I ain't gonna say that. I'll tell you this way. The thing that I always told her was this: Who hates up or down? Not who, but do we hate up or down? And I always say no one hates down, you hate up, if you get what I mean. Like for me, if you see someone on the side of the street that's struggling, you probably have some kind of pity for them if you're a decent human being. But no one's ever looked at the person on the side of the street and got jealous of them or talk trash to them. But I have seen people talk trash to people who look like they're winning. And that to me is a sign of hate. You're hating that someone's doing better. So I have to then take it, then I tie this all into foundational Black Americans. I have to tie this into us. Why is it that everyone feels the need to crap on us at some form in time? Why is it everyone feels to need to give us a title or a name, aka Akadas? What's another word that I hear? I hear all of these different terms that are specifically for us. And that lets me know people are hating up. I just need for foundational Black Americans to understand that we are up, not down. And let's just put some respect on our names. So from this point on, I just think from now on, we just need to start checking people who actually feel like they're going to come for us on that level. You know what I'm saying? I hope that makes sense. So, but let me take a sip because I actually want to get into this now. Now you actually got my attention. Because I had someone ask me the other day, why do I feel that there's a divide between us and people from the continent? Because there is a divide. So for me, I don't like to go off opinions. A lot of the times I like to get stuff and get information to figure out these things. Because believe me, everything that happens in the world, somebody is planning it to happen this way. So what does that mean? How do we go from being African people globally to becoming our own institution to the point to where others don't even want to consider themselves to be brothers and sisters of us? Meaning they come here. I've heard people say from other countries and other continents that I am not Black. I'm Nigerian. I've heard I'm Ghanaian. I've heard I'm from Ghana. I've heard I'm from Somalia. I've heard them all. And I'm Somalian American. I'm Nigerian American. But when it comes to us, nobody wants to be considered African American. Now they'll tell you probably, I've heard some people say this, African is not a country, it's a continent. So they have to, I hate to say this word, differentiate. I cannot say that word right, but they have to separate themselves or to make themselves specific to one area. So they'll tell you, I'm not African, I'm Nigerian that lives on the continent of Africa. I heard I'm not Ethiopian. I'm not African, I'm Ethiopian. Ethiopia just so happens to be on the continent of Africa. You get what I'm saying? I've heard people say these things all the time, but when it comes down to being a Black American, nobody wants to be that unless they can get something out of it. And my whole thing is for people is this: why would you even consider yourself better than us when you're on the land that we came from? See, if where you came from was so great at all times, then why are you not still there? That's the one thing I notice that people get. And it comes off, and they honestly, what I get from, they try to make it seem like we're the ones that's hating on them. No, I don't hear that. Yes, I've heard children with their banter, the African booty scratcher, y'all live in TP in huts. But that's no difference in some of the shit that you people say about us when it comes in. Y'all live in slums, you are katas, you were too weak, that's why they took you from here. And I mean, all these things back and forth. And I know it probably sounds like I'm xenophobic at the moment, but I'm not. Because I'm actually not even blaming those people from the continent that actually makes those statements. We have to understand why they feel that way. That's the thing I noticed. I could get on here and just whine and complain and tell you why I think they feel that way, but that would be doing a disservice to them and a disservice to myself. What do I mean? I think too many Black people, we just like to yell out shit because we don't do enough studying about how the world works. I'll give you an example. You ever heard this at your family house here at Thanksgiving or at Christmas, or you just there for a family cookout, and you'll hear something like, Tyrone done robbed somebody else and he went to jail again, and then somebody else made the comment, I wonder what's wrong with why he can't stay out of jail. And then some nigga always says the same thing. Because he's crazy as hell. That is not an answer for why we go through something. Believe me, he's not crazy. 9 times out of 10. There's a reason why he does the things that he do. And majority of the time, he doesn't even understand why he does it himself. I don't think people understand that. So, let's dig into it a little bit. So, something that I discovered a few years ago that I don't see a lot of people talking about online. That is the Memorandum 46. Memorandum 46 was basically done, I think they wrote it in the late 60s, early 70s. I do definitely know it was at least done in the 70s. And I know the Jimmy Carter administration was one of the ones back in, I think, 78 that heavily pushed this. But that Memorandum 46 basically was set into place right on the heels of the Civil Rights Movement. Because the Civil Rights Movement, black people honestly made a lot of headway. But what you get today is a lot of fluff. You get a lot of, people changing the narrative of the story, and they're taking control of it. But if you really want to know about it, in the 60s alone, thousands of uprisings had it happen in America. They don't happen like that anymore. And I think it's partly because of Memorandum 46. So you have to understand these things. So let me tell you what Memorandum 46 was. Let me see if I can tell you, because I don't want to lie to you. I want to tell you exactly what it was. So let me see if I can get this pulled up real quick. Excuse me, hold on one second. Trying to see if I can get this pulled up, because what it basically boils down to, shit. Basically what it boils down to is that Memorandum 46. Hold on, I'm gonna tell you right here. I think this is it. Hold on, let me read it. Okay. I think this is it, but I'm not exactly sure. But anyways, Memorandum 46 is basically was a memorandum they put on the books that let people know that we cannot have Africans on the continent and Africans in America linking up together because they thought it was a threat to white society and their way of life. That's so many things. So look up Memorandum 46. And like I said, I want to do a whole video on Memorandum 46, but I will definitely tell you out the gate, that is a main part of what happened. So another thing you probably don't know, is that a large portion of immigrants, we didn't have a large portion of black immigrants here in America until after 1980. So everything that you saw in the 60s and the 50s, especially with the Civil Rights Movement, and then let's go back to the 30s and the 20s with like the Black Renaissance era or Black Wall Street. These were all foundational black Americans making headway. I don't feel that the black culture actually fell apart until we started influxing people from other countries with other ideologies, and that's when the divide started to happen. So if you know anything about, like, say, Marcus Garvey in the 20s and the 19 teens actually made a lot of headway with Pan-Africanism globally between African people in America and overseas. I know J. Edgar Hoover, the FBI, and other institutions saw that as a threat. So you have to understand that divide had it to happen. So what they basically said was in Memorandum 46, if you dig down deep enough into it, and I don't want to go into enough detail because it sounds like I'm actually giving you, my conjecture versus facts, and I never like to do that. But from what I've read, and I don't want to give it to you, but I'll give it to you in a more detailed video, but from what I've read, Memorandum 46, they only want to allow certain types of African people into the country from other places. Did you guys know that they actually have them sit down and watch videos and take classes, and basically are told not to do business, definitely not to marry into, or basically even congregate with Africans here in America, because they are unfit, unlike you are. And see, that one, I think over the last 30, 40 years has really starting to take hold, and you're starting to see it heavy in today's world. Every time you go on Twitter and you see, because like foundational black Americans are pretty definitive on what they require out of this country, and that is the reparations due for the shit that they done to our ancestors and are currently doing to us today. And then you have a lot of black people who talk negatively about, say, reparations or getting tangible things for us. And what I'm starting to notice is majority of those people are not foundational Black Americans, but they kind of are in disguise living amongst us, if that makes sense. Because, you know, you fill out a sheet of paper. I've never seen a sheet of paper, or I've never seen a questionnaire I had to fill out that actually said something like, are you Nigerian American? It says Black, African descent. So now we're all grouped in together, so we like that one big nigga theory. But you ever notice everyone else can separate themselves. Chinese people, that's Asian. I know you see Asian American, but you know that's Chinese American, and that's Japanese American, that's Korean. We have a separation of them. Europeans, the exact same thing. You have British Europeans, Scottish Europeans, Irish Europeans, you know. But when it comes to Black people, you just Black. You African American. So one thing you probably will never hear me use that term, and I used that term growing up because it was given to me. But one thing you probably will never catch me using anymore is that word African American, because we have to be more specific about who we are if we ever want to get out of the condition that we're in, if that makes sense. But I digress. I'm not going to keep going too deep into that for too long, but that definitely is something that I want to cover in a future video as well, because we have to do something about this divide. I would listen to my African brothers and sisters that's not from here. Brother, you will get more done if you work with us than against us. Now, I am not one of those ones that's out here campaigning for people to be on my team. Either you rock with me or you don't. But I'm going to tell you, you need to learn your business. You need to learn what you're doing, because the things that are killing us and they're hurting us with, well, guess what happens if they remove us from the situation? Who do you think they're going to come after next? Yo, dumbass. So just remember that. I know you think that you white because they told you can put it on your census because you fair-skinned and you come from Northern Africa. But trust and believe, behind closed doors, when you get to this country, the people in power still view you as a nigga. Just letting you know. You know, another thing that I always say that trips me out, because I use the N-word a lot, as you can probably tell. But I've noticed that they never block me from saying nigga. Let me get a little insight of what's been going on with me before I move on. And I just already said that because, like I said, I have nothing planned for this thing, so I'm just really chit-chatting with you guys. They are giving me, these social media platforms are giving me pure tea. Every ad that I put up, they reject. They have me shadow banned. They literally put me in Facebook jail constantly. And I'm one of the most PCP. I rarely even post anything. But I noticed that since I've actually been pushing, the 300, the 300 radio podcast, or the 300 radio station with all the podcasts that comes along with it, I've been getting a lot of pushback. They are now retroactively going back onto my personal pages and removing items. So it sounds like I'm on somebody's radar. So I beg of you guys to counteract that. Now I'm building my own platform. I'm a web developer by nature, so I can build my own platform, but I would need you guys to come to me if I build it. So let me just say that out loud. To get the best content that I can provide for you, I would need you guys to follow me to that platform. So I have, like I said, I'm building a website. I can build my own social media platform for. We can get away from them. We don't need them to do anything. But I would need for you guys to come too. Now, I understand it. It's convenient. You get on Facebook, everybody's already there. Get on Instagram, everybody's already there. But just think about it. TikTok's not that old. I bet you just built a TikTok account. Why? Somebody told you to. So when are we going to start building our own shit and moving on with it? I've seen a couple other brothers try to do it. And every time they do it, I join. I've seen some sisters even try to build platforms. I'll join these platforms. I'll create these platforms. I'll try to promote and do things on these platforms. And then generally what I notice happens is the people dip. The people fade away. And then in turn, it leaves us, just a few of us sitting here congregating amongst a few of us. And I'm telling you, we would do so much more if we would just actually build our own. We got to get to a point where we understand it can't just be ready-made. I said this on a previous podcast that, even with our relationships, I tell women all the time, stop looking for ready-made men. Ready-made men in our culture right now, we have such a fucked upness in our culture right now. People who are men, especially males that are ready-made, he has options. And most men are not mature enough to just take that one option. He's going to take all 12, 13, depending on part of the world he lives in. I mean, part of the country he lives in. Because I think Atlanta at one point when I first moved here, it was like 12 to 1 females to males, or was it 6 to 1? It was something like that. But I noticed that brothers that had their shit together, they want all of them. So if it's 12, they want all 12. So that's what I would just tell people. Let's just do this thing properly. But I digress. Let me take a sip and we'll move on subjects. What you guys into today? It's a pretty dreary day out today too. I guess I'm down here in Atlanta. As soon as I get off this, I got a lot of running around to do, get stuff in order so I can get back home, get back to that studio and blow this thing up. But what else I want to talk about? Did anybody catch the what did I say right there? Hold on one second. Got somebody instant messaging me. Did anybody catch, and I normally I try not to bring the children into this because, you know, this is most of the time gonna be an adult conversation, but this one situation I felt like I had the need to talk about. Did any of y'all guys catch the situation with a young boy teacher? The young boy, from what I get, he went to do number 2 in the bathroom and clogged the toilet. We've all done it. So this funky bitch white teacher that he had the nerve to make this boy clean those feces out of the toilet with his bare fucking hands. When I tell you that shit bothered my spirit so fucking bad. Because anybody with children, that shit should have bothered you. Because I'm not touching shit. I'm not even touching my own shit. So for that bitch to do that shit, she knew she could get the fuck away with it. And I would just tell you, as a foundation of Black America, we got to stop this shit. We're going to have to stop people from disrespecting us just because they can. I posted a post today on social media. I think it had Morgan Freeman as the backdrop? But I'm going to read it to you. Matter of fact, let me tell you for a second. Let me tell you exactly what I said. And I truly feel this way. Hold on one second. Yeah, I'll tell you exactly what I said per second. This shit's really starting to bother me. So I basically said, stupid is knowing the truth, seeing the truth, but still believing in the lies. And that's what I feel like we do here in America, especially as Black people. We do it all the time. And it's disgusting. I mean, I just can't live like that anymore. I did that majority of my life where, yeah, you go stand in front of white people, other groups of people, and you know what? Let me just slow it down and say it. Because I want to say it in a way that is impactful, but also in a way that doesn't come off phony. But also, I don't want to alienate any people at the process of it either. Because I ain't a hateful person, but I ain't stupid either. So let me say this properly. We have to stop allowing these people to say anything to us. Let me say it this way. I said it the other day. I told the missus the other day this. I said that she was having a problem when she's in corporate America just like me in some instances. I'm more of an entrepreneur. She's more into corporate America. But she had some issues with some of her people, some of her coworkers the other day. And the thing I told her is that white people good for this. White people will literally lie to you. Know they're lying to you. They know you know they're lying to you. And you'll sit back and pretend like you don't know they're lying to you, if that makes sense. And I just can't live like that. We're going to have to get to a point to where if someone is mistreating us, we have to handle this shit for ourselves. I said this the other day to someone else. I was talking about Barack Obama. And I know that's a touchy subject in Black society because people want to love him. But see, I'm just from a different cloth. I'm from the cloth of getting shit done. And that man was in office for 8 years and didn't get shit done. But he rode on the narrative that he was here to help us. Now, people always say all the time, well, and I have people say this to me all the time, you talk shit about Obama, you don't say nothing about it. That's because I already know Donald Trump don't give a fuck about it. But I can rewind back to 2008 when I voted for him and was excited. And that man had me believing he really gave a shit. But now he's on this apologetic book tour that he's on now, to where now it's every excuse in the book why he didn't do anything for black people. Well, let's just be honest, he had no intentions ever to do so. They have been putting these buffers in front of us for so long. They have been putting these people in here to dissipate energy for so long. And then you guys get to catch Judas and the Black Messiah. Same situation. He's just an extension of what we saw in that movie. And they're still here today. I was on another podcast. I was listening to another podcast the other day, and they brought up some guy that it looks like, and he's one of those Twitter people that sit online, we call them the blue checks. One of those blue checks that's supposed to be for black society, but every chance we have every turn, he's always somewhere talking negative. And then it comes out that this dude is actually getting money from the DNC every month. And I ain't talking about no chump change. So now if he got caught out there like that, how many operatives do you have on your Facebook page, your Instagram feed, your Twitter feed that literally were plants there just to dissipate the energy of black people doing better? You ever thought about that? That's the way I look at it. And I think we would look at this more if we study history more, but we don't, you know? But I just, honestly, that shit bothers me to my core, you know? So, but, another thing I wouldn't mind talking about, but let me take a sip break in the middle. You asked me what am I drinking on, you asked? No, I'm just having coffee today. Like I said, it is early. It is 8 o'clock on the East Coast right now. So I know it looks like it's probably later in the day, but it's not. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm having coffee. But like I said, once I finish this, I got a lot of errands to run. But I was going to get into something else. What was I ready to get into? Guys, help me out. What was I ready to hit with this thing? I'll tell you in a second when I get there. See this? I would cover Stacey Dash, but I don't think we need to. I think everybody knows that Stacey ain't shit. I think everybody knows. Real quick, Stacey Dash is now on I'm sorry black folks for throwing y'all on the bus apology tour, but that just ain't gonna fly. For brothers like me, that shit just don't fly. Once you off the train, you can't get the fuck back on. I think brother Jeff Brown, comedian, says it best. We need to stop all this boycotting, and we just need to dead their ass, period. He makes the comment one time, if a restaurant has mistreated a brother and a sister, even one, it doesn't need to be a boycott. Doesn't need to tell them we're going to boycott you for the next 30 days. No, if you want to put a number on it, put the next 100 years. Next 100 years, we will no longer do business with you because you people do not know how to conduct yourselves. We have to get black people, or we have to get the world on notice that there has to be consequences and repercussions for actually fucking over foundational black Americans. And see, this whole trying to appeal to their humanity just isn't going to work. We got to move on from the thing. We're going to have to do better than this. We are. And like with Stacey Dash, and now she's on this apology tour. So basically, she was wrong. I shouldn't have said nothing. I wish I had never said those things. I was incorrect about my statements. I know this is the type of stuff she said, but that's only because she thought she was going to get off the plantation with the rest of us, get with white society, and do better. And she thought Bed Winchell was going to get her that. It will not work. I give you another example. It does not work. Omarosa, same thing. That bitch went on a tour talking shit to niggas for years about how Donald Trump was this, Donald Trump was that. Then he threw her black ass under the bus, and she tried to come back here. Stop letting these niggas come back. Treat all these motherfuckers like y'all did Chrisette Michelle. All right, I don't know if y'all remember that or not, but y'all threw Chrisette Michelle way under the fucking butt a few years ago. I think in 2016 when she decided she was gonna go to the White House and sing for Donald Trump. We gonna treat every nigga like that. We're gonna have to start doing that. We're gonna have to start doing this. Did you guys catch that basketball team? I think it was a girls basketball team. I think it was Oklahoma too. 16-0 must be a dope team because 16-0 means that they're winning. They decided basketball. I think a high school team, if I'm not mistaken. They decided to kneel at the national anthem. It is what it is, but they decided to kneel, and the announcers, from what I get, got up and walked away from the table, calling them a fucking nigga. And all that is hate because they winning. But in the process of that, when people tried to shit on our children, There needed to be about 4 or 5 brothers out there in the parking lot ready to catch their ass. You can feel how you want to feel, but you're not going to say that shit to my children. We got to get to that point. I just want us to get back to manhood. I'm talking about true manhood, especially for the men. This whole narrative that we're going to kumbaya and we're going to pray our way through it. If you can give me a chance in a term in history or a time in history when that actually worked, I'll go with it. But like I said, I like to call myself a self-proclaimed historian, and my study of history tells me this. There's only 2 ways to get from underneath an oppression of another group. That's either through blood or through economics. We have to learn that. And yes, no one wants to die. I don't want to die. I like to be here. I actually do. I want to stay here for a very long time. I eat and exercise and mental stress and all the other things. I try to remove that from my life and do things the proper way. But I'm trying to tell you guys, eventually we're going to have to do something different. We're going to have to do something different. Because and this just popped in my head because I just was thinking about it. And when did we lose that? Because I remember when I was a child, one of the dopest things that my father ever told me, and it's a whole truth. 2 things I always give my father credit for. He did 2 things for me that I am very appreciative of. One, he forced me to give public talks. We were raised very religious. We can get into that to another time. But in the process of that, let me just tell you the long short of it. So I was raised a Jehovah's Witness. My mother to this day is still currently a Jehovah's Witness. My siblings, I don't really know not so much what they're really into. I know they are religious people, but I'm not going to say what their denomination is. But part of being a Jehovah's Witness is they have a thing where they actually train their children to, especially the males, to give talks or sermons for you church people during the week to practice things like that growing up. And I had to give multiples over the years. Now, you're talking to a child who was extremely, when I say extreme, I was extremely shy. Head down, not making eye contact, was afraid. And I pride and I applaud my father and I thank him, because even if it wasn't for him, I probably would have took that into adulthood. So I pride myself on that. That's one thing that I love that my father taught me. The other thing that my father taught me that I think that we lost, it just popped in my head, is I had a problem. I was maybe 3rd, 4th grade, and I was having a problem with a bully, for lack of a better term. And my father gave me the best piece of advice, and I would tell any parent that has a child that's getting bullied to do the exact same thing that my father did. He said, "You catch that man." He said, well, he asked me a question first. He said, "Scott," and he ain't gonna call my first name, but you can kiss my ass. You're not gonna get that right now. He said, "Scott, does he pick on you with other people around, or does he only pick on you by yourself?" And I said, "He only picks on me when other people are around. If he's by himself, he will walk right past me, Dad." He was like, "That means he's scared." He said, "What you need to do is you do this. The next time you see him by himself, you go up to him and you say to him, obviously you got a problem." And I'm paraphrasing, mind you, this was over 3 decades ago. But he told me, he was like, "Yo, you find that young man, you stop him when he's by himself, and you say him, look, we need to squash this shit. I'm tired of fucking fighting with you every day, but if you want to fight every day, we just have to fight every day. Let's do this first. After recess, or after school, I think it was after school. After school, we can go down into the park. We have a park right behind our school. And then me and you can go down there, and we can fight it out. We can fight like fucking cats and dogs. And at the end, you can tell everybody you won. At the end, I can tell everybody I won. And we can do this shit every fucking day. But we're gonna have to stop all this shit here. So I'm gonna see your ass out there in them woods after school." I went there. He never showed the fuck up. I saw his ass the next day in school. I told him, I said, "You didn't show up yesterday. I don't know what the fuck it was, but I was like, if you don't show up today, I'm gonna bust your ass when you ain't looking. Cause you gonna fight me out there." You know, I didn't ever have to fight. I'll just keep it long short. I never had to fight. He never showed up, but he never fucked with me anymore. So I called his bluff when it came to that. And I think that what we're teaching our kids is we teach our kids that when they're young. I've heard parents tell their children all the time, If someone put their hands on you, you fuck them up. No one's ever allowed to put their hands on you. Every parent has told their child, don't let nobody put their hands on you. So now if your children know that, and you teach it to your children and you ingrain that into them, and then they become adults, and then you tell them the exact opposite. Why this shit doesn't apply in adulthood. If somebody is fucking up you, or fucking with you and your family, or fucking with your neighborhood, or fucking with your culture, or fucking with your group, you need to go out there and handle that shit. See, if I told my father that I was going to pray for that bully, he would have probably beat my ass himself. If I told that guy that I was going to turn the other cheek to that boy, my dad probably would have punched me in that cheek too. What I'm telling you, and that's not toxic, that's manhood. We got to get back to that shit. I can't believe we're teaching our children one thing, and I'll be honest with you, the reason why our children probably are being bullied more than anything else is because their parents are being bullied and ain't doing shit about it. So you can't tell a child to defend himself as he's watching you not defend yourself all the time. I'll tell you a quick story. I almost got to fighting with one of my bosses one time because of that disrespect. So I wasn't raised like that. And I'm by far not a gangster or anything like that, but I am slow to anger, but when I get there, I get there. And the quickest way to get me to that point is to threaten my family. And did he directly threaten my family? No, he indirectly threatened my family. And if this microphone is making any noise, I apologize, guys. But this was maybe a little over a decade ago. I was a totally different guy at the time. I was the black man who took all the shit from the employer, from their jobs, and used the excuse I have to. You got bills to pay, and children to pay for, and you can't go home and not have a job. I remember that, and there's some validity to that, but I hit a breaking point once, and like I said, I'm gonna make it a quick story, but it is what I'm gonna tell you. But it works, and I'm gonna tell you how. If you call people's bluff, you never have to do it more than once most of the time. So on this job, we didn't have and I don't want to date it, and I don't want to call people out per se, because believe me, this man would not want me to call himself out. But anyways, I digress. So the job I was on the time, we didn't have a close time. It was always the same thing. It was more or less, it was like this. It would show up, you know what I'm talking about, it's 8 until, 9 until, it's just until. So one day, it's like a random Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm tired. Excuse me. This coffee is really backing up on me. I'm tired. It's like, matter of fact, I think it was when I'm tired, I'm beat down, I just want to go home. I've been at work. It's like a 12-hour day at this point. And I just want to move. I just ready to get out of here and go home. So I was busting my ass, working, and it was done. Kept going to him, and I don't want to say his name. We'll call him for the context of the conversation. So I would go to Doug. I'll say, look, Doug, I'm done this, I'm done that, I'm good. Can I go? No, you can't go. You gotta do this. Why you rushing? We gotta do this. I said, all right, what else you want me to do so I can get out of here? I'm sure he came to me after that. He was like, you know what? No. Since you don't want to be here, go home. I was like, thanks. He was like, don't come the fuck back until I tell you to. Now, instantly, what I heard was, if I want your family to eat next week or the week after that, I may. If I don't want them to eat, I won't. But I'll let you know later on what I think. Now, mind you, I am a grown ass man. And I mean, I am grown. So being grown, don't no other man tell another grown ass man what the fuck he want to do. I fucking lost it. Challenged his ass to a duel in front of the store. Needless to say, we didn't fight. But after that, I got the respect I was asking for. So I would just tell anybody, sometimes you may have to lose it all to get the proper respect that is due. And I think black society, I think that's the one thing we're trying to avoid. We're trying to avoid losing it all. But I honestly would say this, if you lose it all, and if we do it properly, it wouldn't take us long to get it back. Quick note, slavery ended in 1865. I think by 1865, at the end of 1865, when slavery ended, we had a 2% literacy rate. I think by 1890, we had a 90% literacy rate in our culture. Black people do not take long to bounce back. And that was after over 200 some years of organized chattel slavery. if you know anything about history, the worst form of slavery has to be chattel slavery. So from a person or a group of people who stole your name, your land, your culture, did I say your language, your family, everything, took it all, was still able, under 40 years, under 50 years, still able to get back pretty much all its wealth and start thriving. We can do it again, people. We just have to know that we can do it again. That's my thing. We can do it again, I promise you that. But that's very, very important that we do that. Because the way the world's working right now, I don't know if we're going to keep going at this rate. You know what I'm saying? I really don't. I don't think we're going to be able to survive at this rate. If you know anything about the money, you know what? Let's just do it this way. Let me take a sip break and I'll give you 2 or 3 examples of what I think we should be doing. Hopefully, if I can remember them all, if we should be doing to move on. 2 or 3 things that we can do to move the culture in a positive space. 1, we're going to have to get some land. So right now, interest rates are starting to climb back up a little bit, but I would definitely tell people, if you have over a 520, 550, 580 credit score, and if you have access to $5,000, maybe even $10,000 for down payment, this is the time to purchase you some land, some wealth. They are aggregating their funds. I'll take this. I could be a real estate agent. I've taken the course, the whole 9. I just never took the license. So I understand how this works. Real estate works just like this. What they're doing right now is you've probably heard other people say this right now. Let me focus myself here because I'm all over the place. You've probably hearing people say right now, hey, it's a great time to buy, but houses are flying off the market. That's not a coincidence. Explain to me how in a C or P, I can't say these 2 words, but it's what went on all of last year that has affected all of us. We wear masks and everything because of this. You know what I'm talking about. So how in one of those times does the real estate market boom, but also at the same time, half of the country, if not over half the country, is not even working. Who's buying up all the real estate? Well, it's real estate firms, investment firms. What they generally do when they do this, they buy up all the real estate in the most preferred parts of town. Now, do they move into them? No, they buy hundreds of thousands at a time sometimes. There actually are full towns that are sold with all of the real estate in it and no one lives there. With all the homelessness we have going on, you have towns that people are not even living in and homes that people are not living in. See what you can do. I'll give you a classic example, Atlanta. Atlanta is where I'm buying majority of my real estate because Atlanta is going through a gentrification process that is heavy right now. I was talking to one of my former clients. I only say former. I had a business coach on the side, and I had a business coaching call. One of my clients, she lives out in Dallas. Dope sister. Really good call. Really good call yesterday. We had a really good long conversation, but she just purchased a house in Dallas, and Dallas is going through the same gentrification at the time. I'm out in California, in the LA or the Southern California area. Same thing is happening there. I was looking at some property in North Carolina. Same thing's happening there. They're flying off the shelves. Who is buying the real estate? The real estate firms are buying them. They can also do this once they buy up all of it. If you understand the way real estate works, now there's a shortage of real estate. So just say you hit it big, make a lot of money. Now you want to move into the city. I want to buy a house in Buckhead, Atlanta. If you know anything about Atlanta, Buckhead is one of the most preferred areas here, right? You're looking at houses, there ain't a lot of them out there. But now all of a sudden, you want a house, but it ain't you and 15 other people looking at the same house. House costs $400,000. You offer $400,000, but the next person offers $410,000, next person offers $450,000, next person offers $500,000. Before you know it, literally the housing market, the cost jumps, and that's what's happening right now. A property that I purchased late last year had the value of the home jump by over $100,000 in 1 year. So what do you expect the next year and the next 2 years going to happen? So I would definitely tell black people at the moment right now, if you have never done it before, get into real estate if you can. If you cannot afford to do it on your own, you need to start building susus with other black people. And if you don't know what a susu is, if you watch this video, let me know. Drop it underneath the video, drop it in my DM. I'll explain what a susu is on a further video, but I'm not gonna go into details. I just would say, get into a susu, get into an investment group, get with your mama and your cousins, y'all put your tax money together and you buy some land. I don't even care if any of you live in it, but you need an asset today. If you cannot afford to go that route, the next route you could go is join the stock market. Get you some stock. If you caught what happened when GameStop, if you was into it, if you stopped what happened with GameStop a couple of weeks ago, you could have made a nice lick. I got involved. I made a little bit of money. I wish I had invested a little bit more, but I did make a little bit of money out of that, and if I only knew more. Now, and that's almost to the point to, they shorted the stock, but we can even get into that if you want to know why they were able to make money in that or how to work the stock market. I can get into that too, because we've been in the stock market for a while. So I would definitely say get into the stock market. If you don't know how to do it, I could say start with Robinhood. That's a good place to start. It's a very simplistic platform to buy and sell stocks. I'm with Ameritrade right now, but I started with Robinhood. But with Ameritrade, I'm with them now, and I would definitely say get involved in the stock market. It is not a get-rich-quick scheme, but you have an opportunity to build longevity wealth. The reason why I got into the stock market is I wanted to leave some wealth to my children. And what I wanted to do is I didn't want to have to pull from my daily income to do so. So you want to set aside money to do that. It's $5, $10, the whole nine. I'll give you an example. I think at one point matter of fact, I'll even leave that one. Go into the third option. The third option, a lot of people are getting into, but I don't think they fully understand it, but we need to know, and I will tell you how to get involved in it. Get into blockchaining. For you people, Bitcoining, things like that, get into that. Now, a lot of people say that's unstable, and I agree. It is very volatile, very unstable. The way that I play it is that I've actually put some money into it. Now, that way, if anything ever happens to the dollar, which I believe it will, it's a fiat currency. If something happens to the dollar, then I will always have my crypto to fall back on. If the crypto fails, then I always have the stock market to fall back on. If the stock market fails, I always have my land and resources to fall back on. See, these are things that we can actually do. And I would just tell black people, you have to get involved in these things. And I get it, you're scared a lot of times. You don't know nothing about that. I knew nothing about real estate. I knew nothing about the stock market. I knew nothing about crypto. Good resources to start if you don't want to take it from me. Real estate investing. There's a couple out there online that do pretty well. I can't think of the name right now. I'll try to tag them in the video if I can. Blockchaining, though, I definitely can definitively tell you. Isaiah Zay Jackson, he wrote the book Bitcoin in Black America. What up, Zay? Zay Jackson, you could catch him I seen him on CSNBC, on Fox News, things like this. But he's heavily into crypto. Is a great resource to go find out about it. I know this brother personally. If I remember correctly, Zay, if you ever hear this, I think me and Zay started trying stand-up comedy long time ago. We were at an open mic. The very first time I did stand-up, I met Zay at an open mic. Zay, I don't even know if you remember that. But Zay is in there. So I would definitely tell you to go check out Zay Jackson, or Isaiah Jackson. Go check him out. Very good resource for crypto. Zay, like I said, I'll tag you in this video for later. I actually need some more information on it too, so I can help grow some shit that I got going on. And I just want to go to the best. And I deem you to be the best at it. So if you catch this, like I said, I'll tag you in. If you hear this part, definitely Zay jump in my mentions. Man, I'm out here in Atlanta right now. I think that you're on the West Coast. I'm not exactly sure, but if you are, we definitely need to touch base when I get back home. Let's do business together. Stock market, there's a lot of resources that you can get information from the stock market too. So yeah, but those things I definitely would say. Those are 1, 2, and 3 I would definitely do. I would start first, try to get you some land. Secondly, I would try to get you into the stock market. And third is in the crypto. And the reason why I say you got to make a move now. I talked about this on the previous podcast. They plan to. The wealth in the black community will be zero. They say by 2050, something like that. I honestly don't think it's going to take that long. I think the big C or the big P that we had all last year sped up the process. So I honestly do believe that we need to look at that thing and make some drastic changes now. My life right now isn't a lot of fun because I'm in the building stage. I am hoarding resources at this moment. I am trying my best to make sure whatever hit is coming to black society, it minimizes in my household. And I want to take that to the masses of black people so we can all minimize some of these things. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing I would definitely say. We got to start minimizing some of these damages. Hold on one second. Matter of fact, let me sip some water. Hold on, guys. Hold on. I got to get a better microphone down here, too. Hold on, guys. Hold on. Sorry about that. But again, I didn't even realize the conversation was going to go there, but I can definitely tell people that is definitely needed because they are. It kind of ties back, and let me tie back into the. I guess the topic of the conversation is why I rep foundational Black American. But let me just touch base on that. So I would to tie that back into what we're talking about. I honestly feel like this country is trying to remove us. Specifically us. Why do I say that? What's the difference between black people, foundational Black American, and a Nigerian American? What's the difference between a foundational Black American, he looks just like you, and one that's from Kenya? The difference is the foundational Black American has struggled with this country since its inception and actually before its inception. And they know that struggle. Black folks have fought this tooth and nail since the beginning. Now, they don't talk a lot about this. They tell you the stories they want to tell you. I think that's why you get Martin Luther King so happy, because he was black. But if you're black and you're over 30, you've never heard of Gabriel Prosser or the Haitian Revolution or Nat Turner or John Brown for you integrationists. It's just one after another. Black folks have been fighting for years. And I've always said this through my studying. Well, let me say this. For years we've been fighting. On the continent, though, it's different. On the continent, they got colonized. We got enslaved. There's a difference. And there's different types of colonization. I think the worst form of colonization, in my opinion, is probably the British colonization. They were the ones that beat and maimed and buck broke and decided they were going to basically, just tear you down as an individual, make you less than human. That's probably really, really bad. And on the surface, that is horrible. But the older I get, I'm kind of changing my opinion. I think the French colonization may have actually been more damaging, and it's showing its head today. The reason why I said it, we lived under British slavery. Again, buck breaking. They literally want to beat you into submission. Well, you ever notice that when a person fights you, and if you know anything about the art of war, and if you know anything about fighting, I learned this in the art of, I think it was Art of War, the 48 Laws of Power, one of the two, but I remember hearing that one of the strategies in war is that you always give your opponent or your enemy either the illusion or actually an out to get away. Now, why would you do this? You thinking to yourself. And I didn't understand it too when I first read it, but it makes sense. You ever tried to trap an animal in the corner so you can catch it? A chicken, a rat, a squirrel, something like that? That motherfucker will fight you tooth and nail because he knows you coming for him. But if you leave a spot for a squirrel to get away, you try to attack him, he's going to run away. That's the illusion. I mean, that's the thing. He has the opportunity to get away. If you don't give a person an option to get away, you're going to get their very best fight. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. But I honestly would say this. Let me get my thoughts together because I lost where I was going with this. I'm going somewhere with it. But I can definitely tell you that. Oh, I remember that. French assimilation is worse because French colonization is worse because it's about assimilating into the culture. As long as you assimilate into French culture, you can do okay. That's the illusion that they give black people. So now, if you see a lot of countries, especially French-speaking African nations, they won the French rule. They did a lot of assimilation. So you notice that they come here. You ever notice that Africans coming from other countries and they want to fully integrate into white society or try their best to. Why? Because that's the type of colonization that they've been dealing with for hundreds of years. So you take a person who's been told, hey, if you just walk and talk and act a certain way, you don't have to struggle with everyone else. That makes sense to them. And see, then they look at black people here in America who lived under slavery or chattel slavery or their domination from British rule. We didn't get the same thing. You can act and try and do whatever you want to. They were coming for you, and they still do. So that's the difference between the two. And I would honestly say the colonization is actually worse than the slavery. Because at least slavery, we know who our enemy is. Colonization, you do not know who your enemy is. You are actually trying to assimilate into your enemy's culture. That's killing you. And I see that a lot with a lot of people who are not foundationally from here. Their families are coming here with that ideology, mixing in with foundational black Americans, and then they're propping them up. Me and like I said, I was having a conference call yesterday or a coaching session yesterday, and as we were talking, she asked me the question. She asked me, she's a single woman. She was talking about dating and stuff again, and she's like, yeah, it feels different. It is different out here. It's different because these are not the black people we were raised with. They're influxing them in. And I'm going to say this because honestly, I think now as I'm talking about, we need to go into this really in depth. But I will say this. It's not ironic. Two things that they're doing. They're influxing African immigrants and they're influxing Hispanics into America. Why? If you let the Hispanics have already surpassed us, as they say, at population. If you know the narrative of foundational black Americans, our whole platform in this political cycle was reparations for our vote. Cut the check. If you ain't gonna cut the check, I ain't voting for you this time. You have promised niggas shit for years and never came through. This time we're holding you accountable. Tell me you gonna cut me the check, I'll vote for you. These motherfuckers refuse to do that. We refuse to come out and vote for it. That is our narrative. Foundational black American. Shit, I lost my thought again. I really did. I lost my thought. My brain must be telling me time to get out of here. That's what it's telling me. But, and I forgot where I was going with that. Where was I going with that? I can't remember. Let's take a sip break while we wait and see. Maybe it'll come back. And know my coffee I like it cold, so you kiss my ass if you don't think so. If you think I'm drinking cold coffee. Yes, I'm drinking cold coffee. I like cold coffee. But yeah, I tried to remember what it was. I cannot remember what I was going with that. See, that's why I need to map it out too and make it easier to remember because I'm all over the place today. But definitely, from what I can remember, I would definitely tell people. As soon as I'm ready to move on here, it pops back in my head. By influxing them, and don't tell me they're not influxing non-foundational black Americans into America because they are. And if you're paying attention, you would notice it too. You notice that damn near every new black actor or actress isn't foundational black American. Not from here. You notice that? So you have Hollywood that's killing it. They make all the movies. You have Atlanta who has a large portion of people making a lot of movies, which ain't nothing but full of black people. But yet and still, damn near every hit show and movie has a non-foundational black American playing a black American. Why would they do that? See, it's not even economically feasible. Like one of my favorite shows, and I think he's a hell of an actor, is Snowfall. I love, what's his name? Damson Idris. Love him. Franklin is the man. He's from England. But even with that one, and I love him to death. So this is not a knock at Franklin. I call him Franklin. Damn, so it's not a knock at him. But my thing is for him is this. Why did you cross the pond to find him when you already had black people here who desperate? Every black person wants to be on TV. Everybody. You have bred us into the entertainment world, but then you bypass all of us to go overseas and get us? It doesn't make any sense. It's not economically feasible. It doesn't make sense. And then you prop up other niggas who basically give you some whack ass excuse. I remember when Spike Lee was like, yeah, well, they're just more trained. Well, Spike, first of all, that's bullshit. And then secondly, if they're just well more trained, so all the old movies that you had, these were trained people? No, because Martin wasn't trained. You had him in your movies early. I don't know if Wesley was trained or not, but if he was, let's just put the point. The point is you actually was picking foundational black Americans to be in your films because you had no other options. And now you've moved on to the point that I feel like you're part of the agenda as well. It's quite ironically that Spike, and this is not to disparage Spike, I actually like Spike. I'm just saying it's quite ironically. Spike, you, the man who made Malcolm X, and damn near they cut your funding so you had to actually borrow money to finish the film, now can go get an Oscar. Did you see how you acted when you got that Oscar? It sounded like a broken brother to me. That's just me. But I digress. Anyways, I can go on this subject for days and days and days and days and days. So I guess I should just leave it down. We're right at the hour mark on this podcast. I can't believe I've been talking to you guys for an hour without going live. Because like I said, I got to really start going live. I want to interact with the people. But again, let me give a couple of shout outs and things before I go. I ain't gonna say shout outs, but just a couple things I want to cover before I go. The importance of 300 radio. It's got free podcasts. You Got to Chill podcast. All these podcasts are on 300 radio. Woo is coming next, I think. Lead Talks. You gotta go check out Lead Talks. Lead Talks is amazing. But I'm not even gonna tell you about it. Just go to the website, or not even go to the website. Go to the Facebook page, 300 Radio on Facebook. You can catch us at 300 on I think at 300 Radio on YouTube as well. But definitely come check us out. We're gonna have a lot of content coming. Good stuff. Great stuff. Scott Free Podcast is going to really start going deep. And just for the people who have actually came out and supported me, and when I mean supported me, you guys, a couple of you guys have been in my mentions, a couple of you guys have shared these videos, a couple of you guys have definitely been in my DMs letting me know how you like, dislike what's going on. And I accept your feedback. I would definitely tell you that it's a lot of work to get these things produced and put on. And I know it looks simple because I just got a microphone and a camera, but trust me, it is so much more than that. So if you rock with me, if you fuck with me, definitely come out and support. Hit the like button, subscribe. I'm not asking for any money from anybody out of any of this stuff at this point. You can always donate to the platform to help out, but this is not really about the money. My main thing is I want to get this thing to the masses of the people. I've said this multiple times and I'll continue to say it. I've had multiple business ventures, but this is the most expensive but the most rewarding one to date. And any support that I get from you people, I greatly appreciate it. And hopefully we can keep this thing rolling. As I go to 300 Radio on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, the website is almost complete. You can actually go to it now, but you're not really getting the content. I leave it up just so people know that it's actually real, but when we're working stuff out in the back end, we're gonna get it going. And so with that being said, I guess we can catch you guys on the next one, which would be when? Probably Monday or Tuesday next week. But before then, be on the lookout for the You Guys to Chill podcast. We're gonna be doing that Sunday around 7-ish. We always have a good time when the fellas get together and do that. Definitely check out my boy TT and Chuck. Well, I can't say Chuck. Chuck ass ain't even on social media. But check out TT, his social media. I'll try to tag that down the video too. And thanks again, guys. And I'm out. Peace.